Okay, I'm going to attempt to show you how to make a Viking weave. So what you'll need is you'll need something round. Some people use pencils, some people use all kinds of different things. I'm just using a piece of bamboo because it's cheap, it's easy. What I've done is I have cut 2 lines and that will make 4 little notches along the sides. So there's going to be 4 loops around. So I'll show you how that all works in the next pit. Now you can use any kind of wire that you want as long as it's going to be flexible enough, not too thick, not too thin. You'll pretty much know. This is copper wire that I rescued from being thrown in the bin by some electricians at school. Yeah, I think it's pretty funny that we live in a country where we can just throw copper away and not even think about it. Anyway, what you do, hold this down. There's a little tail. Take that. Take it here. You want to bend that around so it makes a little loop like that. Take that up. Now pull straight across to the next one and make a little loop. Okay. Same thing. That's number 3. And it will go to number 4. Now, take that just around to the side. So it should look kind of like that. See, it's a little bit uneven. That's fine because that's going to come out as we start our making. Alright, so we have the other end. Okay, so you see how this wire comes down? We go over here where there's this loop comes up, that loop goes down. We're going to stick this free end behind both of those two. So it looks like a little A. Okay, take that, pull that around, and make a little loop. Okay, that's number 1. We're going to do this all the way around. Now, have on hand a needle, something that you're going to be able to use to stick underneath those two. Okay, because sometimes it will just get pretty tight, especially here in the very beginning, or when we splice 2 on, that is just too tight. Now, you want to pull that up. Now see how I use my finger to do that, and I'm holding that one with my thumb? You get this really nice little loop. Thumb, take this, and see how there's a little original tail? We don't want to get any of those sticking up. Always, we want them down and into the center. Okay, so come over. Oh, see, this is being annoying. Alright. Really the most annoying part is this start. Okay. So, holding it with your thumb, finger, you direct it. It's nice. Okay. Now we're back here. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go behind all 3 of those, because that's the original one that came down and made the first loop. Now I stick all that in together. Come on. Again, this is the most annoying part. Okay, blow this up. And there we go. Holding, use the finger. Down. Okay, now, from now on, what we're going to be doing is, you see, this comes down, it makes this little loop, and so you have a little X right there. Okay, so push your needle in behind that, just like that. Now we're going to be going behind those little X's. Okay, 1. Come over here, and you'll find these are now going to be so much easier to go behind. 2. Okay, we want to make sure that we don't get that original piece of wire sticking down. So just go right there. Okay, pull it down. And pull that one. Okay, it's looking pretty nice, hey. Alright, so we'll come to this one. Now what you're seeing is these are singles, just 1, 2, and they look pretty good, all right? But what we're going to shoot for is to do a double. Now how we do a double is, instead of just going up underneath this one, we're going to go behind the one above it. So there's always going to be 1, 2 wires. So push behind that loop. 1, pull that down. Maybe the next one. Again, keep that needle on hand. Something that's going to just be able to push behind them. Down. And you see, we're back to, we now have that first double that we did. What we do from now on is just count up 2 and go in behind. Alright, so we're coming down to the very end of this one little segment. You just keep going until it just becomes unworkable. Okay? So that's pretty much about now. Alright, so you pull that down, you leave that little bit of a tail. Now, you have a couple of options. You can either cut that little bit of tail off. You won't want to have it too short, but you want to have it there. I think I'll just leave it for now. What you do with your next piece of wire is you go back through where that one just was and you fold it down so it looks like there's 2 little legs. Okay? Hold that with your thumb, spin it around with your finger, and that's going to be your join. Now, hold it all down with your fingers. Come around, and you just start again. Now you've spliced it on. Okay, so just keep going. Okay, now when we come back here to where we've just spliced on, you've got all these little things hanging down. Just count up 1, 2. Now this is where, again, you need your needle. Push under. Now what you want to try to do is get underneath all of those little bitty tails and little bitty bits of wire. Okay, goes underneath. Pull this around, hold that down. Oops, this wire is not being very friendly. Don't get a crink or a crimp in your wire, because they'll throw you off and you won't have a good time. Okay, pull that down around and you just keep going. Now that is going to be a little bit annoying for a little while. That's why I like to use much longer wires. They are a little bit harder to deal with, but you don't have to splice them as often. See how it's just trying to stick up? Now again, you know, we may want to cut those, but it just depends on, you know, what you want to do, whether you want to have little pieces of copper wire laying around. See how that's kind of coming together? We don't want that, so what we're going to do, we're going to start pulling this one over this direction. we'll start pulling over that way, and then over here the same thing. We'll start trying to push them back out so they're even quarters. So I just kept going, wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, and I made too much. It's better to make too much than too small. So really about that much is what's needed to make a bracelet that will fit me. Because what happens next is this gets pulled through a series of holes. We'll first go through this one, then we'll move into that one. Okay, so I just put some wires through these little loops that at the very beginning when we started it. And we put all this through. Okay, I use some vice grips. And as you can see, it will strengthen out or straighten out to that. Now, we're not done yet. We take it through the next hole. Oops, vice grips. There we go. Now you have your Viking weave pattern. So it looks like this. Now because it's got 4, it will look very squarish. Okay. Alright, so we're going to nip these original little loops that we started off. Because we no longer need them. What we're going to do is we're going to stick one of these. Okay, clear all those out. Bring that down. Okay. Now that's going to rest right inside there. We take a copper wire and we're going to bend. Okay, I like to have got one. It's got that kind of a diameter. Now squish through, and now I'm just going to tighten that down. I'm going to try to bring that around so it's right. Working with copper, the more you work it, the harder it becomes. So sometimes you have to anneal it, which I didn't do for this. So this is getting a bit more difficult as I work it. Now what I'm trying to do is just trying to keep that straight. At the same time, I'm trying to keep all this neat. So we're just going to clip that there, and we're going to this gets frustrating, and then trying to film at the same time is not easy. So I might actually show you how you anneal copper. It's basically just heating it up and then letting it cool. Then it gets super soft and pliable. Now we're not going to leave it like this. We're going to solder this end. Okay, so that's going to sit in there like that. And now we just clean all this up because this is going to be covered in solder. So just push all that down. Push that down. Just like that. Okay, I didn't realize, but it was a bit blurry in the last one where I did this one. So we'll do it again. You want to make a bit of a measurement. You either use your own wrist or actually lay it out and measure it. So you get to the size that you want. So probably about there, because you're gonna have a clasp that goes along with this. To give you an example how I'll measure this up on myself, me being a guy and not small, so we'll take it back a little bit. So probably right about there. Okay, right about there. So just like before, you just find the line that you want to clip at. So find the ones adjacent, and it's kind of a waste when you've got, you know, that you're not going to be using. I should have stopped, but I was a bit overzealous. I was watching television with my wife. Alright, if we can clean all this out. I'm going to do the same thing as we did before. Place that in. Take your wire. Oh yeah, I forgot I was going to show you how to anneal. Okay, so annealing is actually quite easy. You just got to take your copper. You have to get it hot, like red hot. Now I don't know if you can see that color changing. This is the cool stuff about metal. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to turn this copper, which is actually quite stiff, into something very soft. As you see, it's red hot at the end. We're going to use about that much. Okay, that's enough. Okay, so I just quenched that, so it's now cool to the touch. Okay, you're actually going to see this is now super easy to bend. You just got to be really careful, because since it's so easy, it's easy to mark up with your pliers. Alright, so stick that on. This thing goes on. Okay. So what this is doing is that's giving a lot of grip and some tension on there. Now while we have that in there, so we know it will fit. Okay. So much easier with annealed copper. Alright, now as you work annealed copper, what it's going to do is it's going to get stiffer as you use it. So you get metal fatigue as well, where finally, if you just keep working when it's hard, it will finally just break. So just be careful with that. Okay, so I'm going to solder the ends. Now soldering is actually quite easy, or I find it is. Okay, first we need to get everything where you want it. Now what I'm doing is I'm just heating this end up. Okay, so I'm seeing the color change, so that means it's getting hot. Alright, remember that this is a conductor. Now I just put the solder in, and this is a lead-free solder. I think keeping lead away from the human body as much as possible would be great. Try not to breathe the fumes, just because it's just not advised. Now I can feel the heat traveling up this. Okay, I've run out of, do a little bit more. in there. I like to put a little bit in this area, if it will take it. Yes, alright. Just make sure it's clean. Okay, the solder will cover up all this little bits and pieces. Careful not to overheat. Be careful not to put too much solder in, because it will start flowing down just like it is there. It's always the case when I'm filming something. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. Come on. It's a delicate art. There we go. Because it's a liquid, it will flow downstream. Okay, I'm mostly happy with that. Can you be mostly happy? Alright, now I'm going to go quench that. Alright, so I just quenched that so it's cool to the touch. We're going to take some files and we're going to file all this down so it looks nice. Now we're going to do the same thing over here on this side. We're just going to make sure that these line up with each other. Alright, so that section there. So we're going to do the same thing here. Come back to it. As it goes, when I'm not filming something, it goes perfectly. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just going to give that some shape. Take off any sharp edges. Anything that doesn't look quite nice. I'm just using a little file. So especially in that area where those two come together. Okay. Same on the other side. The one that I filmed is the one that needs the most work. Murphy's Law. Okay, so I just made a clasp because I see I'm running out of footage. Made a clasp. I'm going to stick this end, this bottom end, close that off, and now you have your bracelet. Done.